Today's video is brought to you by Wondrium. Wondrium is where you find the answer to, well, everything you've ever wondered about and some things that you never imagined that you would wonder about. And when I say everything, I mean it. There's Ivy League professors basically handing out an expert education in classical Greco-Roman history or philosophy or astronomy. There's also brilliant tutorials, travel logs, documentaries. It really is never ending. Now, obviously, if you've watched my channels, then you can probably guess that I see myself as a bit of a lifelong learner, and that's at the heart of why I love Wondrium. There's always new stuff to explore or new challenges to master. An empty afternoon, a slow weekend, it's the perfect chance to dive into a new section of content and learn something that you never thought you'd want to learn before. If you're a fan of my channels, then one specific thing you might be interested in is their massive catalogue of World War II lectures and videos. For instance, you might want to check out their 24-part series on the Pacific Theatre. The bottom line is this: if you're curious by nature, then you just have to head over to Wondrium. And right now, you guys can go to wondrium.com/brainfood to get a free trial to check it out. That's wondrium.com/brainfood, or just follow the link in the description below. And now today's video. In November 1988, surfer Ivan Kellerman stumbled upon a strange object floating off the coast of Boca Raton, Florida. A torpedo-shaped metal canister around 6 meters in length, the object was initially dismissed as a discarded pontoon. But when Kellerman's brother David, a commercial salvage diver, dragged the canister ashore, it soon became clear that this was something else entirely. The canister had hinged fins like a submarine, but no portals or other accommodations for passengers, while its hatch could only be opened from the outside. And when Kellerman peered inside the hull, he found only 1,800 kilos of lead bars used as ballast. The Kellermans had, in fact, discovered the world's first known Narco Submarine, a type of vehicle widely used by drug cartels to smuggle cocaine, marijuana, and other drugs from Central and South America to markets further north. Surprisingly sophisticated and difficult to intercept, Narco Submarines represent the ultimate escalation of the decades-long war on drugs and reveal much about the strange economics of drug smuggling. No one knows who built the first Narco submarines or when, the first example not being caught in the act until 2006. What is clear, however, is why they were invented. For decades, paramilitary groups and drug cartels like Colombia's Clan del Golfo and Mexico's Sinaloa cartel moved their product into Mexico and the United States via 3 main routes: over land, via highly congested smuggling routes known as plazas, by air using light aircraft or mules traveling on commercial flights, or by sea through the Caribbean or up the Pacific coast using powerful surface vessels known as go-fast boats. By the late 1980s, however, increased monitoring of border crossings and airports had rendered the first 2 routes untenable, while the widespread adoption of radar, sonar, and other sophisticated sensor systems made it increasingly difficult for surface vessels to slip past Navy and Coast Guard patrols. In desperation, strugglers turned to submarine technology to keep the drugs flowing. Narco submarines vary widely in design, size, and sophistication. So much so that navies and drug enforcement agencies have developed an entire system of designations to classify them. The most common narco submarines are not true submarines, but rather semi-submersible craft known as low-profile vessels, or LPVs. Typically built of fiberglass and powered by either internal or outboard gasoline engines, LPVs are designed to sail low in the water with their decks awash, with only the engine air intake and exhaust and a small conning tower for the helmsman protruding above the surface. This low profile makes LPVs difficult to detect by radar or sonar, while their small size, lack of wake, and painted camouflage, sea green for coastal waters, dark blue for the open ocean, makes them hard to spot by air. Some vessels even pass their engine's exhaust beneath the hull to cool it, thwarting detection by infrared sensors. There are 2 broadly recognized classes of LPVs: regular LPVs and LPV VSVs, or very slender vessels with long and narrow hulls minimizing visible wake. These classes are further divided into LPV IMs with internal motors and LPV OMs with outboard motors. The average LVP is around 10 meters in length, manned by a crew of 4, and can carry around 3 tons of cargo, but examples up to 30 meters in length have been encountered, with the largest on record being captured by the US Coast Guard in 2015 with a cargo of nearly 8 tons of cocaine. Built and launched from the mangrove swamps of Colombia's northern and western coasts, Narco submarines must travel up to 3,200 kilometers up the Pacific or Caribbean smugglers' corridors to reach their drop-off points in Central America, Mexico, or the United States. Conditions aboard the subs are hellish, the crews having to contend with 40-degree-plus temperatures, living off crackers and canned beans, and choking on engine fumes, often for up to 2 weeks straight. Few narco submarines are fitted with toilets or even beds, the crews often being forced to sleep on the bales of cocaine. Worse still, as one former narco submarine captain revealed to Time magazine, there's always an armed person on board to keep watch over the crew and the cargo. If anyone starts to panic or mutiny, his orders are to eliminate the troublemaker. Yet such is the poverty and desperation in much of rural Colombia that the cartels have little difficulty finding willing crews who earn an average of $3,000 each per voyage. While crudely built by conventional standards, LPVs are nevertheless well equipped to carry out their specialized missions with sophisticated radios, GPS, and other navigational equipment. Some vessels are even large and seaworthy enough to cross entire oceans. One LPV captured in Malaga, Spain in November 2021 traveled more than 9,000 kilometers from Ecuador to deliver 2 tons of cocaine. Narco submarines have proven a phenomenally lucrative innovation for the drug cartels. In 2009 alone, nearly 70% or 130 tons of cocaine leaving Colombia was transported aboard narco submarines. This represents an estimated $5 billion in US street value. Inevitably, this success has spurred various navies and coast guards across Central and South America to redouble their efforts, and since 2018, more than 100 narco submarines have been captured in the Caribbean and along the Pacific coast. But countless others still manage to slip through. Meanwhile, increasing government pressure has only encouraged the cartels to develop ever more sophisticated and stealthy narco submarines. Unlike their semi-submersible ancestors, these new generation narco subs are true submarines capable of fully submerging and traveling long distances underwater. One such vessel, captured by Ecuadorian authorities in July 2010, featured a 31-meter-long fiberglass and Kevlar hull and a 3-meter-tall conning tower, and it was powered by an electric motor and batteries, and could dive down to 20 meters, sail over 3,700 kilometers, and carry up to 10 tons of cocaine. It was even fitted with air conditioning to keep the crew cool while submerged. Other such fully submersible vessels, or FSVs, feature full diesel-electric propulsion systems, periscopes with both regular and night vision cameras, and mooring rings to allow towing by fishing boats and other small vessels. A more recent and sophisticated development is the Narco Torpedo, an unmanned canister designed to be packed with drugs and towed underwater behind a regular fishing vessel. In the event that the towing vessel is stopped and inspected, the torpedo can be remotely commanded to detach and sink to the ocean floor. The device then deploys a floating beacon disguised as a piece of driftwood, allowing the canister to be located and received once the coast is clear. Other versions, known as parasite torpedoes, are designed to be clamped to the keels of existing vessels, while self-propelled, fully automated vessels with integrated GPS navigation have also been encountered. In each case, the Narco Torpedo provides smugglers with greater plausible deniability and a higher chance of recovering their precious cargo than more traditional narco submarines, and they're claimed to have a near 100% success rate. Perhaps more impressive than the narco subs themselves are the conditions under which they're built. The Pacific coast of Colombia, with its hundreds of rivers and estuaries and thousands of square kilometers of dense mangrove swamps, has long been a smuggler's paradise and the perfect place to run a clandestine shipbuilding operation. In a truly remarkable feat of logistics, drug cartels transport hundreds of workers and thousands of tons of equipment like machine tools and generators to build secret workshops deep in the heart of the jungle. Some of these workshops even feature their own in-house designers and specialize in the mass production of a certain standardized model of narco submarine. One such model, a 20-meter-long LPV OMVSV, powered by 3 Yamaha Enduro outboard motors, is particularly prolific, with 19 having been captured since 2017. Even the simplest narco submarine can take up to a year and $2 million to construct. Yet once these vessels have completed their journeys and delivered their cargoes, the vast majority are simply discarded. While this might seem like a horrendous waste of money and manpower, it should be noted that the 8 tons of cocaine carried on board a single narco submarine can net up to $300 million on the streets of New York City. In light of such an absurd profit margin, even $2 million becomes but a drop in the bucket, rendering even the most sophisticated narco submarine effectively disposable. Another factor in the disposability of narco submarines is the ever-increasing risk of discovery and capture by drug enforcement agencies. agencies. While the risk of a narco submarine being captured on its outbound and return voyage is roughly equal, the risk is at least justified in the former case by the highly lucrative cargo being carried. Thus, it makes more sense simply to build and dispatch another submarine than to risk the crew being captured on the return voyage. This has become especially true in light of local governments changing rules of engagement. In the past, when a narco submarine was spotted, the standard procedure was for the crew to immediately scuttle the vessel and surrender. At the time, the capture of submarines and its cargo was required to prove wrongdoing, so the crews were set free without charges. In September 2008, however, the United States passed the Drug Trafficking Vessel Interdiction Act, making it, quote, a felony for those who knowingly or intentionally operate or embark in a self-propelled semi-submersible SPSS without nationality and that is or ever navigated international waters with the intent to evade detection. Such laws, along with intensifying government patrols, have driven a number of curious trends in the design and construction of narco submarines. While for many years the size of narco submarines was steadily increasing, maximizing the profit that could be made from a single trip, sometime in the mid-2000s, this trend began to shift backward towards smaller vessels, minimizing the impact of any given sub being lost. Starting in 2019, however, the trend reversed again, with the authorities encountering an increasing number of supersized narco submarines. This latter trend is believed to be a response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which greatly restricted travel along ground and air smuggling routes, and to concerted anti-smuggling crackdowns like 2019's joint American-European Operation Martillo. But while such efforts have succeeded in netting an ever-increasing number of narco submarines, this has done little to stem the flow of drugs from South America. For example, in 2019 alone, the authorities managed to capture 33 narco submarines and 433 tons of cocaine. However, total cocaine production that year was estimated at 1,000 tons. Indeed, the American cocaine trade is estimated to be worth some $32 billion annually, making nearly any risk worth the potential reward and giving the cartels every incentive to keep pushing the limits of smuggling technology. Narco submarines and the shadowy arms race they grew out of thus epitomize the sheer lengths people will go to when enormous sums of money are at stake, and serve as a dramatic illustration of the first fundamental rule of economics, and that's that incentives really matter. So I really hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please feel incentivized to click that like button below. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching.